Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has been my last hope for the MCU. Out of all the films announced, it's the last one I was looking forward to. It's the last one I thought really had any chance of being good. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I really enjoy Chris Pratt. And I think mostly James Gunn has made some very good films. And I was very relieved. I know I'm a little bit late to this. The film came out a few weeks ago. I've only just watched the movie and I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. I was very pleased with the end of this trilogy. It does leave me thinking, well, where does the MCU go from here? What's the next step? Who are the next characters that are going to come in? What is there to look forward to now? So just starting with Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, the film is action-packed with a lot of humor, and the most surprising to me, it is full of heart. So many heartfelt moments as we explore Rocket's backstory. Guardians was always the one that kind of had the most heart. I mean, at the beginning of the first one with Peter's mother. So I always felt Guardians had more of an emotional attachment to it than the other movies, even though obviously scenes like the end of Endgame with Iron Man are incredibly tragic and saddening. Guardians for me always had the most heart. No film is perfect. You only have to watch stuff like Pitch Meeling or honest trailers to realize that even the greatest movies, they have their flaws. And Guardians is no exception. I mean, Adam Warlock is kind of just like shoehorned into it. I don't really have too many issues with what he did on the screen or his portrayal. It's just that it just didn't really make a lot of sense. For all three films, I really wanted to see Drax the Destroyer. It's like, how does he let him live up to his name of the Destroyer? And Gamora, the most dangerous woman in the galaxy. I want her to live up to this reputation. And we never really get like a solo moment of these guys really showing just how powerful they are in any of the three films, really. We do get some great action scenes where the Guardians are fighting together, which is phenomenal. And yeah, Drax shines and Gamora shines. But I really want to see what gives them these nicknames, what gives them these superhero names. The Destroyer, the most powerful woman in the galaxy. We don't really get to see that at all. That's been a disappointment throughout all three films, but they do still shine in this movie. Just like Endgame, Volume 3 of Guardians would be the perfect end to the saga. Whereas the MCU could easily have ended at Endgame. However, the Spider-Man movie was phenomenal, and this movie has been phenomenal. These have all felt like endings. And part of me is like, it should end, and this should be finished now, as we can just move on. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen. But also, I felt this movie set up a great Disney Plus show in Mantis. I'd much rather watch what is going to happen with Mantis as opposed to the girl from Hawkeye who I can't even remember her name, but we're going to get this really dull show that currently no one's looking forward to. It hasn't really shown anything that's going to make me want to watch it. But whereas Mantis' story looks like it could continue and would be far more interesting than that Hawkeye spin-off. Even though the movie does have some problems, I don't think that brings the film down. Every movie has issues. The heart this film has, with some actually, surprisingly, the actors having to do some real emotional scenes. I was really surprised at the amount of acting that some of these guys had to do. But they pulled it off. I thought the performances from everyone was great. Everyone really kind of brought their A game, as they know this is the end of a trilogy. No spoilers in this review, by the way. So even though it is a huge cast, and when you have such a big cast, you're always worried about, does everyone get their opportunity to shine? And the answer is, like, they could always do more for certain characters. Some characters deserved more screen time, but overall I think most characters do get good moments to show the character and character growth in the movie. So I don't think there's too many people on the fence, but I will say I highly recommend people going to watch this movie. If you enjoyed the previous two, which I did, number 1 was fantastic, number 2 wasn't as good, but I still really enjoyed it, and number 3 is exceptional. When I just come out of watching a movie, I don't like to say this is my favorite out of the trilogy, say out of like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, Guardians, because right now I'm way too emotionally invested in it, and especially way too emotionally invested in Rocket's story, that at this moment I would say this is the best trilogy in the MCU. However, I really need to take a few months to digest it and let my emotions balance out, and then I'll be able to say if this is the best trilogy. However, it is a fantastic... I'm excited for James Gunn's DCEU now. But then it leaves me wondering, well, where does the MCU go from here? It probably had the most emotional impact than any other MCU film. Maybe Endgame is on balance with it, like I say. Maybe I need to let my emotions balance out. So still coming down the line, Echo. That was the TV show I was trying to remember. I'd much rather see a show about Mantis than Echo. We're going to continue, and how do we continue, or how do they continue, is going to be huge. They've been left now with another fantastic platform where people are again could be invested if the film qualities stay as high as Guardians. However, I worry that they will. But we've got the Marvels coming and some crappy shows along the way. But hopefully this is a turnaround for the MCU that they wanted Ant-Man to be, but unfortunately it wasn't. And also the villain, the High Evolutionary, is such a better villain than... who the hell's the villain again? Kang! It's terrible. We've seen him die twice. We've seen him twice and we've seen him die twice. The High Evolutionary is a much more menacing villain. I mean, anyone that tortures innocent, cute animals is instantly going to be hated and appear more threatening. But also just as the performance between both are fantastic actors, by the way, but the High Evolutionary was so much more menacing and so much more fearful, and his presence on camera was so much more fearful than that of Kang. But hopefully this is the turning point for the MCU to get back on track and start making some better movies. I'm skeptical, and I would love again to be able to call this a finale for the MCU, and we can all move on to what is coming next. And what is coming next could be James Cameron's DC universe, which I would love to talk about more. But as for this movie, I highly recommend it. But that's all I have to say about this matter. So for now, I am done.